Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was You, Me, and Tuscany, making $3.8 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $14 million and a worldwide total of $16 million. So yeah, You, Me, and Tuscany still not performing all that swell. It dropped a little over 50% this weekend, and it's unfortunate that the movie just doesn't seem to be branching out of its audience that it had during its opening weekend. It did seem like there was a possibility of that given the A- cinema score, but it seems to be just unlikely. Again, it doesn't seem to be branching out. The word of mouth doesn't seem to be doing its thing and grabbing more people to go and check it out. It's not going to be a huge failure because, again, this was just $18 million, and hey, it's about to make that back, but it's clear that there wasn't a whole lot of interest with this movie to begin with. Hopefully this finds a bigger life on streaming, as theatrically this is looking like a pretty big dud, unfortunately, which is a shame considering how strong the box office has been for, unexpected surprises, some of which we'll discuss later in the video, and it's a shame that this couldn't be one of those. Number 4 was The Drama, making $4.8 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $39 million and a worldwide total of $81 million. The Drama, on the other hand, has been the surprise sleeper hit of the month. It appears to be, as again, we've talked about this extensively, but the subject matter, the controversy of it all, it seemed like that would really bog down this movie. But again, curiosity seems to be the main factor here. Just everybody wants to know what the big deal about this movie is, and it's become quite the hit for A24. It's certainly going to crack 50 million domestically, and it's going to be their 5th film ever to surpass the $100 million milestone, which is absolutely insane. Again, considering the subject matter and what the story really is about with this movie, it really has caught a lot of people's attention and is really bringing a lot of people to check it out, and maybe even bringing people to check it out for a second or third time, it seems. Yeah, the movie has really caught on and has really found an audience for itself, and it's continuing to grow, which is nice to see. Again, as I've said earlier this month, that I think April was looking for another surprise smaller hit, and The Drama seems to be filling in that gap for the month. So yeah, just another solid weekend for this movie. Number 3 was Lee Cronin's The Mummy, opening with $13 million this weekend domestically and $34 million worldwide. This is the 4th biggest opening for a horror film this year. It topped 28 years later The Bone Temple, but still sits behind Iron Lung, Send Help, and Scream 7. Yeah, I thought this would do slightly better given just how barren the horror landscape is right now at the box office. And I saw a strong marketing push for this movie, and I thought it would entice more people to go check it out given the name and certainly the disturbing imagery of the trailers. But unfortunately, it just didn't seem to be the case with this movie. I guess it was a tough sell for people. I think, with this being Lee Cronin's The Mummy, didn't resemble what people wanted out of a mummy movie, whether that's the Brendan Fraser films or something related to Egyptian history. And I thought, with this being a new reimagining of a beloved horror icon, it would probably pique curiosity, but even that wasn't enough to bring people to check it out, and it doesn't seem like the people who went to see it really enjoyed it that much. Critics were really split on it. It's at a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Audiences also seem to be a lot more split on this as well. It got a C+ on CinemaScore. The only other movie that we could really compare it to was The Bride, and we all know how that did. But I don't think this is gonna be as disastrous as that one. One is that this was not nearly as expensive as that one. This was just $22 million to make, and it's already made that back worldwide, largely due to a much stronger international performance. So maybe if it can, find its audience internationally, I think it might be able to squeak into decent sleeper hit territory, at least worldwide, for itself. Again, it's not like it costs anything really significant, and there isn't much horror movies out right now really, so it definitely stands out from the crowd. But then again, the word of mouth and the response seems to be really mixed, so don't expect this to like really jump with like these astonishing legs or anything. So yeah, not a bad opening, but nothing great either. I think they were definitely hoping for a lot more with this movie. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, not the best start for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Number 2 was Project Hail Mary, making $20 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $285 million and its worldwide total to $573 million. My God, this movie. This is unbelievable. We are approaching like Top Gun Maverick levels of like legs and hold here. This is just unstoppable. Like again, this movie should have been affected at least decently by the competition, but it hasn't really. Again, it had to compete against Mario. It's competing against, a really big movie coming out this weekend, but I don't even think that's also gonna slow this movie down anytime soon. Just the legs on this, the response and everything about it has just been, pun intended, and I apologize for it, but astronomical. I am just floundered by how well this movie has done. It's about to crack 300 million domestically and 600 million worldwide. Just unbelievable. A large part of that was due to this weekend it regaining the IMAX screens, but with it losing those to, again, the big movie this weekend, I still don't think it's gonna get hurt that much. It'll lose some steam, but not by much. Yeah, this is really just the movie of the moment. A truly spectacular, one-of-a-kind box office run that I don't know if we'll see replicated anytime this year, and the studio has taken note of it as it is extended the theatrical run of this movie. So if you were hoping to check it out on Prime Video anytime soon, better luck in another couple months, because you're gonna have to check this out in the theater. Yeah, again, just I don't know what else to say here, man. Just an absolutely spectacular run for Project Hail Mary. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was for the 3rd weekend in a row, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, making $36 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $356 million and its worldwide total to $750 million. So not a bad hold in the slightest. In fact, this weekend's estimates were a little bit higher than what was estimated a couple days ago. I remember people were saying, oh, this is only going to crack 30 million. So the fact that it got to 36 is pretty impressive, but you'd be hoping for like a much stronger rebound, especially for an animated kids movie like this, something like in the 30s, maybe even in the 20s, but still we're in that 40% range. So again, I think the response to this movie is really affecting it, and it's definitely starting to sag behind the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is definitely concerning, because for a big blockbuster movie that you want to build spin-offs and other sequels behind, you want this stuff to grow and continue to like boost momentum for the franchise, like the Sonic movies, or even Zootopia and Inside Out. But this movie, again, it's really starting to sag behind. Not that it was expected to do as well, but if it was like only like maybe $100 million behind it by this point, it wouldn't be a big deal, but it does seem to be losing momentum and slowing down a bit, and I think it's going to be affected a lot more by the competition on the horizon than, say, something like Project Hail Mary, given the response we've seen for it. I still think it's going to crack $1 billion, and it's still like the biggest movie of the year overall, but I do think those concerning factors I mentioned so long ago when this movie came out, and I continue to reiterate, are definitely proving to really affect this movie's performance. Still gonna be hugely successful, still a big money maker, but definitely a downgrade from the phenomenon that was the first movie. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend's big new wide release is the one and only Michael, the biopic about, well, the one and only Michael Jackson. This is a pretty big movie hitting theaters, you know, not just because it's about pretty much the biggest pop star of a generation, but you know, this had a lot of problems getting to the big screen, a lot of production issues. They had a whole rewrite, reshoot to adjust a couple of problems that went on behind the scenes. You can look into that if you want to, but you know, it's finally here, and I think this is really going to be big, maybe even bigger than what people are expecting, solely because, again, it's Michael Jackson, and it's the story of Michael Jackson. You know, he left such a big impact on just music as a whole. He sold out stadiums. His name carries so much weight, and his legacy as an artist and his songs still holds true to this day. And this is the story of his life, or at least the Hollywood version of the story of his life. And you know, they're selling it very well. Been seeing a lot of promos, huge marketing campaign going on for this movie, and the buzz is through the roof. I know so many people who are excited about this movie. I've been hearing a lot of his songs play every now and again when I'm out shopping or even just, you know, hanging out with my friends. I hear, oh, Michael Jackson, that's nice. You know, again, he's that popular, and you know, it's really bringing back his, you know, his star power and his music back to the cultural zeitgeist in that sense. So I think this is really going to be big. I'm curious to see how this does in the long run. If it is really, really strong, like a Project Hail Mary, this is going to be absolutely monumentous. But if it's something like Super Mario Galaxy, I could also see this slightly underwhelm and disappoint. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that landed the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.